Jake owned a construction company and his team respected him for being decisive and quick to respond. He prided himself on never leaving anyone hanging. The problem was Jake was too quick. Every morning he'd wake up to a dozen messages from his crew, updates on job sites, questions about materials, client change requests, and Jake would fire back his responses while drinking his coffee, thinking he was being super efficient. But then he'd get a call later that day. Wait, you told us to order the oak flooring, but the client specifically said maple in their email. His team was constantly having to redo work because Jake's quick responses were wrong responses. Last month, they had to tear out and reinstall an entire bathroom because Jake misread a message about the tile placement and gave the go ahead for the wrong layout. Jake told me his guys were getting frustrated at having to do everything twice, and he felt like an idiot every time he had to call a client and explain why their project was delayed again. And that's besides all the financial effects that this was having. Here's what Jake didn't realize: he wasn't actually being decisive, he was being reactive. And there's a massive difference. All it took was improving one thinking skill, and Jake went from constantly putting out fires to his projects running smoothly the first time. Plus, his team actually started trusting his decisions again. Not surprisingly, he ended up working faster because he wasn't redoing everything all over. If you're experiencing something similar, I'm here to tell you you do not have to struggle forever. Hey, here, I'm Misty Rappaport, and on this episode of the Business Brain Podcast, I'm going to share with you the exact steps of what you can do to have your own transformation. But first, weak thinking skills aren't just frustrating, they're expensive. I've created a calculator for you to see how much it is actually costing your business. Take it for free at lifepicksuniversity.com/calculator.
While you are doing any task, you, without even realizing it, are using your 28 thinking skills. When the thinking skills you need to use are strong, doing the task happens easily. Skills you need to use are weak, doing the task becomes a challenge.
The struggle that Jake had came from a weak thinking skill of gathering precise data. Most people think gathering precise data means collecting more information, but that's not what it's really about. Gathering precise data is about making sure you're taking in the right information before you begin working. Jake wasn't lacking information. His phone was buzzing with updates all day long. The problem was that Jake was acting on incomplete or imprecise information. He thought that he had all the facts, but in reality, he was skimming, assuming, or misremembering crucial details. His brain was prioritizing speed over accuracy, so his decisions were based on fuzzy or partial data. Here's what you've got to understand: gathering precise data isn't about being slow or indecisive, it's about being deliberately accurate. And when your brain gets good at this skill, something amazing happens. You start catching the gaps before they become expensive mistakes. Let me show you exactly how Jake turned this around and give you 3 ways to start strengthening your skill of gathering precise data today. Okay, so here's what we did with Jake. He created what we called the 2 question rule. Before responding to any message or making any decision, Jake had to answer these 2 questions. One, do I have all the important information? And two, what would happen if I'm wrong about this? That's it. 2 questions that took him 30 seconds to consider. When his employee texted, client wants to change the kit and counters, instead of immediately texting back, Jake would think, do I have all the information? Which counters, what materials, what's the timeline, etc. Then he'd respond, got it. What specific counters and what materials are they switching to? And when do they need it completed by? So instead of answering without all the information, he's asking for the right information that he needs to make the decision. And now this crisis is prevented before it even started. Okay, here are 3 ways you can do to start improving your own gathering precise data. Number 1, review your last 10 emails or text responses. For each one, write down the assumptions you made. What information did you think you had, but you didn't actually confirm? Jake did this exercise and realized he was assuming things on almost every interaction. I assume they meant the guest bathroom. I assume we still had the materials in stock. I assume the client approved the timeline. It is crazy how much we just make assumptions based on half information that we have. Once you have the right information, it's much easier to make accurate decisions and be able to move forward. Number two, for the next week, ask at least one clarifying question before making any decision, even if you think you know it perfectly. Instead of just saying, got it, I'll handle it, try, just to make sure I understand correctly, you want me to fill in the blank. You'll be shocked how often people say, actually, no, that's not what I meant. Number three, before responding to any text or email, pause and reread the information you got. Even say it out loud. Do you have all the information correctly? This isn't about being paranoid. It's about training your brain to automatically scan for information gaps before you begin acting. Okay, now I know this sounds so time consuming, and you're thinking, like, see, I don't have time to ask questions about everything. People expect quick responses. I hear this a lot, but this is what Jake learned. His quick responses were actually slowing him down because everything had to be done twice. That bathroom renovation had to be torn out and redone. That quick decision cost them 35 hours of labor, thousands of materials, and a very unhappy client. 6 weeks after we implemented this two-question system, Jake got a text from his crew about a major problem. Jake read the message and thought, do I have all the important information? What would happen if I'm wrong? And instead of panicking, he texted back, help me understand exactly what is happening. Send me a photo and tell me which specific areas you're talking about. Turns out it wasn't a major problem at all. It was just a minor adjustment that took 20 minutes to fix. But here's the best part. His crew started adopting the same approach. They began sending him complete information up front because they saw how much smoother everything ran when communication was precise. That's when Jake realized this wasn't just about him making better decisions. This is about upgrading how his entire business operates. So here's what we've covered in episode 529. Quick responses aren't always smart responses. Your brain needs accurate data to make good decisions. We also spoke about gathering precise data means catching information gaps before they become expensive mistakes. And asking clarifying questions is one of the simplest ways to stop making assumption and get the information that you're looking for. Your action steps this week is to strengthen your thinking skill of gathering precise data in one of the three ways that we spoke about. Number one, do an assumption audit. Review your last 10 emails or texts and identify what you assumed versus what you actually confirmed. Number two, for the next week, ask at least one clarifying question before any decision you make. Number three, before responding to any message or email, pause and reread the information you got. Say it out loud to really understand what is going on there. Do you have all the information? Remember, strengthening your thinking skills isn't just about avoiding mistakes. When your brain gets better at gathering precise data, you make confident decisions faster because your brain trusts the information you're working with.
That's all for this episode of the Business Brain Podcast. If you enjoyed it, send it to a friend who secretly wants stronger thinking skills too, so together you can grow your businesses with peak brain performance.